time. Lone Star Mobile Mechanic. Hey, it's Friday evening. I'm waiting on Jimmy Joe to come by and pick up his little monies. And, man, I gotta tell you guys what not to do when adjusting the valves on a 2007 Brute Force 650. Could be a very costly thing. Very costly. So I get done doing this whole setup. I do a complete service on this ride, and I get done with that. Well, we got to adjust the valves because this thing's using a tremendous amount of gasoline. It's running kind of hot on him. It feels like that there's something wrong, and it does have a slight miss, or did have a slight miss in one of the valves. Because when I was riding it the other day, it's got put. It runs real smooth, but it's got put down low in the exhaust. So to make it easy on myself, I stripped all the plastics off the ATV because I want to be able to get to this. I got short, fat arms. I want to be able to get to it. I want to do it right. So I get in there and I get it set at top dead center. I get the front valves, the front cylinder valves, exhaust, and the intake valves set at the exhaust valves are 8 thousandths. The intake valves are 5 thousandths. Man, I'm rocking right along. It takes me a long time to do this because it's hard to get in there. It's very hard to get in there, and I felt like I was putting my arm up inside a cage with a bunch of rattlesnakes. My hand hurts, and I was tired of putting it up in there, getting up in there and trying to get in there just right, and I had to get back out, get it just right, probably adjust the valves, loosen them and tighten them probably 4, 5, 6 times each, trying to get them just perfect. Man, I get them set just perfect. I put the valve covers on it, and I start putting this thing back together because the way they got the key made on this thing, you can't crank it unless you got the front cowling on it, the front piece of plastic on it. So, man, I get it all put together up to that point, and I'm like, man, I ain't putting it together no more, because if I got to tear it apart, if these valves don't sound right, I got to tear it back apart, and I am not tearing it completely down again. There's absolutely no way. After working on this thing pretty much all day long. So, I flipped the front end over to where the plug will reach, and I plug the key switch in, and I turn it on. I walk around front, all lights blinking, neutral lights on, rides in neutral. I set the brake. You don't have to set the brake, but I did set the brake. Reach up there, push the button, it turn over, turn over, turn over, turn over. I was like, oh my God. I turn it over, turn it over, turn it over, turn it over. It won't crank. I check all the switches, they're all right. Turns over, it won't crank. I'm like, man, I need to do a spark test on this thing. Man, it's got spark. All the plugs are plugged in. It's got spark. It has spark this morning. Something you've done is wrong. Your valve adjustment's wrong. You must have set your valves 180 degrees out. Oh, dear Lord. Valves 180 degrees out? What? Huh? Not after I done checked it top dead center so many different times. I checked it, made sure that I was on top dead center compression stroke 4 or 5 times. I know I wasn't confused because I had a lull in the heat because the little rainstorm passed over. And I was just fixing to pull that cowling off there, or that front piece of plastic off. I don't know why I keep wanting to call it a cowling. I'm fixing to tear this front piece of plastic off, and I look, and I've got the ignition switch plugged into the female side of the lights. The light switch, both light plugs, and the key plug are the same. Like, whoa, what is this? What is this? So my customer's standing there by this time. I done sprayed carb clean in the velocity stacks of this thing to see if I could get it to crank. It wouldn't even hit a lick. It's like, man, this is crazy.
For God's sakes, don't smoke.
I plugged the ignition switch into the right plug, reached over and hit the key, and it cranked first lick. Sit there and idle like a champ. Oh, thank you, Jesus. No valve noise, no nothing. So don't plug your key switch into your female light switch. Why it would turn over, I have the faintest idea. It baffles me. But that's the cheat. That can happen. Because what would have happened if I'd had that whole thing put together and hit the button and it wouldn't crank? I'd have tore that thing down all the way to the bottom and reset the valves, and would have found that the valves were right. Valves was right, everything was right. And then I would have been really scratching my head because I wouldn't have realized that I had plugged that plug into the wrong place. So I guess maybe next time, instead of just taking the whole well, you got to take the front end off really to get in there to it, to where the way I was getting in there to it. But next time I'll take and undo the key switch and plug it in. That way I ain't got to put none of the plastics on it. I just got to put the velocity stacks and the air breather back on it to check my valve adjustment. Then I can proceed to put the plastics back on it. Because, I mean, it's a long job. Whichever way you do it, I mean, it's a long job. If you've got it up in the air, it probably wouldn't be too bad of a job to do it, you know, from that vantage point. But you still got to rip all that stuff off the air. You got to take that, that air.
Ring the bell, smash the like button, and subscribe. Subscribe. We need you to subscribe. Can't get nowhere if you don't subscribe. Thanks, guys.
All right, YouTube. That's Tailgate Talk for this week. Later.